Hi, welcome to Tamiya. Just want to show you my setup for my TT02. If you check out my previous video, I showed you a quick demo of what it can do on the asphalt. And this is the Porsche 911 GT3 BIP body. It's a short wheelbase body, and also the rear tire is wider, as you can see. Let me move this. No, I'm using, for the LED lights, I'm using just a simple LED light attachment from Kyosho. So you just plug it in, and then as soon as you turn it on and off, it will just flick the LED light for the front and back on and off. Now you can see the offset of the wheels slightly deeper on the back, and on the front here it's narrower, but kind of give that deep dish look that I like. And it's much wider in the back, and also shorter wheelbase, because that's how we have to fit into this body. So this setup is not really the best setup for drifting, but I wanted to use that Porsche body, and the Porsche body requires me to have a shorter wheelbase and wide at the back. So it is what it is. It's just cool to have a drifting Porsche. Right, I'll go through some of my setup. First, I guess the most important setup is the TRF dampers. I got these TRF dampers. These are the old silver looking one. I got them at a good price, and I'm actually using a stock spring at the front here, and at the back I'm using a hard spring from the XV01 spring set, and it's a bit harder, so you want the hard spring and then soft at the front. And then the setup wise, I'm using I have the damper setup here right on the outwards setting, and same as the front actually, because I find that it gives better response. I know some people said that you need to put it down on the lower one, but it really doesn't work out for me. I find that it's a lot better response to have it on the outward side. I'm not very technical about that. You can find other videos to explain you how to do suspension setup properly. Another thing is I'm using, or I guess you'll see it straight away here, I'm using the TT02 Type S steering here. Don't really know why I chose that. I think the original TT02 steering could be better, because it connects from this point here where the screws is, and that point there as well. But I thought I'll give the TT02S a try. It looks kind of cool, and you're able to add a little bit of spacer here. You see where that spacer there, to push this turnbuckle forward to reduce the Ackerman. So the Ackerman is the angle between this wheel and this wheel. For drifting, you want the Ackerman to be as little as possible, so they're more parallel. Right now it's still not that parallel. You can see like this wheel here has a higher angle than the outside wheel. So another essential setup for drifting is the front one-way. So the front one-way allow the wheel to move freely, so pretty much there's no front braking. So this is a four-wheel drive, but during the brake the wheel will continue to roll forward, the front wheels. But during acceleration it will turn all four wheels. And on the back I'm using a lock diff so you can't move these diff at all. So these are lock diff at the back, pretty standard. Oh, I guess I got these universals here as well, using a 39mm universal. Got a lightweight one here and a standard one up here, universals. Really you should be using both lightweight for the front and rear, because with drifting you're not really going to crash the car that often. The reason you want the steel universal at the front is to give it more strength in case you crash, but with drifting you really don't have high-speed crash, so you should be using a lightweight one on the front, on the rear and front. Of course you can see I got the prop shaft here as well. Prop shaft, they're great, they give you extra response, but not really needed, but they're real cheap. It's only about $10. Well, I guess you got to buy the this thing here, the axle. And this is actually originally a TT02D, so it came with some upgrades already. It came with this heatsink. I'm not sure if it came with the prop shaft. It might have came with the prop shaft. Right. And another thing was, let me open this up. I'm using a pretty high gear ratio. I believe it's about 8.5 gear ratio. Now in the past I thought I needed a lot of power and a lot of speed for drifting, so I would use really low gear ratio. I can actually gear this TT02 to about a 5.0 something ratio, but no, you don't really need that. You want to use a high gear ratio. Sorry, actually that means a lower gear ratio. Anyway, like an 8.5 or above. So lower gear ratio gives more response. So when you're using the throttle, you know, the throttle here, you have a lot more feeling, and if the gear ratio is too high, the car will become too twitchy. It's just generally harder to control the throttle, but with lower gear ratio, you'll be able to control the throttle a lot easier. Another thing, I'm using a 15.5T Tamiya brushless setup, and I'm just using the TBL02S here with a fan attachment, which is probably not really needed, but I had my ESC burned out in the past, overheats, so just a little security measure there, a little bit of insurance. And another thing is, I guess you might have noticed the camber setup here. We've got the TT02 cambers adjustment here, which it's not really needed, to be honest. You should just use your stock camber links, because if you're drifting on the asphalt, you don't really need, you only need about 1 to 0.5 degree camber. The reason for that is that because these tires will get worn out over time, and what you really want is even wear of the tires. If it's at 0 degrees, the tires won't wear out evenly. It'll eventually like one side has more meat than the other side. But with about 1 degree camber, the tire will wear out more evenly, and that's really what you want, because they'll give you maximum grip for both front and rear. And I mean, you can use camber to reduce or increase grip, but eventually the tires will be flat and it'll just be flush on the ground anyway. So really there's no point in adjusting. You don't adjust the camber setup like you would with a touring car. You just adjust it for tire wear, and you just want them to wear evenly on, you know, the inside and the outside of the tires. So what else do you need? I'm using the stock, what do you call it? Upright, stock rear upright here. I did have a 3-degree toe-in rear upright, will give you a 3-degree toe-in like this. But I found that it actually gave me too much grip and too much drag for the rear tire. And using the stock, the factory one, is actually better, but maybe this is because, well, it's partly because I'm using the Porsche body here. So one last thing is that you will need a gyro. A gyro will help. You can't drift without a gyro. It's just too difficult, and it doesn't look good if you drift without a gyro. So, you know, gyro makes the drifting look a lot more realistic, and you have a lot more fun with it. So what a gyro do is that it'll try to counter steer. So if I turn left, I'll counter steer to the right. I'll try and make it more obvious. Give me a second. That's me increasing the setting at 100%. And then if I reduce it down to about a 50% setting, which is what I normally run with my other cars. Yeah, that helps a lot with the drifting. So I guess we could talk about drifting techniques and stuff in another video. But this car runs pretty sweet. I'll just turn it on for you. It's kind of flexing a bit. I should put this cover back on. Yeah. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any question, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I'll keep an eye out and answer it the best I can. Alright, thank you for watching, and see ya.